hustling. I sold stuff on eBay. And then I got into e-commerce because I had already started selling on eBay. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? This summer, like, I really want to focus on something. I really want to have a project and be successful in it. And, after all those failures, I only had like $50 left. So I'm like, holy crap, like this $50, it's really got to take me somewhere, because I didn't get an allowance. Ever since I was a kid, like I told my parents, like, don't help me, period. Like I want to make my own money and I want to do it by myself. And I was like, oh my God, I only have $50 left. I lost all my money. At the time, I did a lot of research. I'm like, okay, what's a good product to sell? What is something that I can sell that will like make me a lot of money? And I did hours and hours of research. I found something, this little spinner thing, it's spun in your fingers, right? I'm like, oh my God, this thing is so cool. Like, I think I could sell a lot of it. Like looking at the numbers, like I think you can sell a lot. And I showed it to my friends at high school, and they'd be like, what the hell is this? Like, why would anybody buy this, right? I'm like, trust me, like it's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna make this thing popular. And so I bought one for like $5. I showed it to people and they're like, whatever. But then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna resell it on eBay to see like how well it does. And so I bought it for $5. I resold it for $34.99.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what the hell? I think I can sell more. So with the last of my savings, like $60, bought 25 fidget spinners. And to me at that time, like spending $50 was like, oh my God, that's like a lot of money. Like I'm like broke now. Like I'm broke. So that was a big risk for me. So I'm like, you know what? This $50, let's put it out and, let's try to make this money back. Within my first month, I paid back like $1,000 something in profit.
Oh my.
And I'm like, wow, okay, I found it. I found the next big thing. I needed help to fulfill orders and like do all this stuff. So that $1,000 completely reinvested back in and bought more fidget spinners. And then at that time, I got my two friends, Han and Dean, got them to help me out with my little business. And because they both had cars and Han could drive, he could drive to the post office. So I'm like, I need you to help me. Like I didn't think to get my mom to help me. My mom wasn't supportive at all, actually. She was like, you can't do this. You're not allowed because you have wrestling. Like you have like 4 scholarships waiting for you for wrestling. And like, because at that time I had won nationals the year before. So like I became the champion in Canada. So like people were like recruiting and like they were trying to like get me to go to their schools. And like, I need to get good grades as well to get the scholarships. And I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And also the fidget spinners, I can do it at the same time. So literally I'd be so busy. I wake up 6 a.m., talk to my suppliers, figure everything out for the day. At 8 a.m., I would go to school. I would skip school sometimes so I could like work on my business. I'd come back because I had to commute a little bit farther to go to my wrestling practices. My commute was around like an hour and a half. So I'd come back, ride the bus, and then take the bus. It would be like a 30-minute bus ride. And then I get to my coach, who was at this mall. And then he picked me up. And then we drive down to where practice was. And then in the car, I would be studying for like all my tests and exams and everything. And then I'd get to wrestling practice. I'd wrestle. I'd get back from wrestling practice. It'd be around like 9 at that point. My mom would have a meal ready for me to eat. And to eat it faster, I would pour the soup into the rice, and then I just like drink it pretty much. And then after I was done with everything, by that time, if I had a little bit more homework, I put it off and then do it like later, and then I would work on my business. Thankfully, I had 2 business partners to help me with like fulfillment and everything when I was wrestling. But then on the weekends, we'd do product photography. We brainstorm, and we had a whole operation going on. So we had a whole assembly line. So one person would be hammering the fidget spinners in. One person would be printing out the labels, and then one person would be putting the labels on and putting the fidget spinners into the package. So we had the whole operation going on over the weekend. So with the fidget spinners, what happened actually was I started doing promotions on YouTube. The highest day of sales was like was like $15,000 in sales. And like I was like, holy crap. Like there'd be a notification sound on Shopify whenever you got a sale. It'd be like ding in the mornings. I had this program that would automatically turn it on, and the orders from the night would come on and be like ding 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 ding. And that was my way of motivating myself to get up early, right? I'd get up super early and talk to suppliers, but it helped that that the sound was coming in, the sales were coming in.
Like when you wipe out either in like skating or like business, whenever like something bad happens or like you fall off the board or something, what goes
Yeah.
through your mind? Like what do you tell yourself?
Well, okay, I'll give you a recent analogy from my business. So at Reverie Culture, we had a month where we lost like $10,000 and like nothing was working for us. Well, nothing, so I thought. So people a lot of times think, oh, you never have doubts or anything. I was like, oh my God, we're done for, we got to close the business. We got to file for bankruptcy. I'm telling Dan all this stuff, and Dan's like, you're ridiculous. Like, we're going to be fine, right? But in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, we're done for, the Facebook ads aren't working. Like, we're not getting sales. We're losing money every day. Like, might as well cash in quickly and just leave. But then after like a few days, you know what? Okay, I have a fire under my ass. Like, I have to find something to save my life, pretty much. It felt like my life was like on the line, kind of. I'm like, I either succeed or I'm just like done for. Like the adrenaline that was rushing through me, I was like, oh my God, I have to find something. I have to find something. And then I would just start like working hard. Like I would haul ass. It's like there's a giant bear behind you and you're just like running. You're like, I have to find something to save my ass and like keep going, For the business, I hauled ass for like a week straight, and I found alternate solutions to making money and like keeping us afloat for that month. And then I saved us. Yeah, like at first, I think it's completely normal for you to feel like, oh my God, I don't think it's gonna work, But you should also feel a sense of urgency, like, oh my God, I'm on my last like breath. You need to think smart and you need to work hard. Normally, I only just work smart and not work hard. But in those situations where you fall down, you have to work hard and work smart because you're limited on money, you're limited on like time. If I'm telling you guys this now, pursue your creative endeavors now, pursue your passions now, because when you get older, start having responsibilities, having, a girlfriend or a wife or, like a family, like that's an occupation, that's when you're done for. Like you barely have any time to do anything. But at the same time, there's no excuses.
So I have another question. So, what is your perspective on college and grades?
uh, so funny you ask because I hate college. Not so. Don't extrapolate that. I don't like college for the academic side because here's the thing: we live in such a different era compared to like what our parents lived through. Right now we're in an age of like instant information. So you guys all go to Oxford. That's one of the best high schools in California. You guys are smart. Like there's no doubt that you guys are smart and you guys can figure things out. You guys don't need to follow a traditional path unless you want to be like a doctor, engineer. Unless you want to be like that, you don't need to follow that like traditional route. You guys have information right at your hands. You guys live in the best country in the world with the most opportunities to do business, to pursue whatever it is you guys want to pursue. Your parents aren't gonna kick you out, and even if they disown you, you just have to like prove them wrong. Academics, it's not really the way. I think college, what it is good for is giving you a buffer zone of 4 years where you have very little responsibilities, and take advantage of that. You guys probably lost your 4 years in high school doing a bunch of homework and whatnot. Now that you get into a good university, like take advantage of the resources that are at your university, whether it's professors, whether it's your peers. I think taking advantage of your peers is a huge thing. Not taking advantage of them, but like taking advantage of networking with them and building cool things with them. Because in college, your grades, who cares? Like sure, maybe like the big employers, I don't even think they even care. They care about skills, how competent you are. Google, I don't even think they need a college degree anymore. Focus on developing your skill sets, focus on developing applicable skills. Learn how to Photoshop, learn how to, take pictures, like simple stuff, and then learn how to program if you're into that kind of stuff. Learn how to become good at something. If you guys think about it, Steve Jobs, one of my big inspirations, like he built Apple during his college years. He learned a lot during his college years, not through school, through his own accord. So for you guys, when you get into college, sure, have fun, but realize college isn't just about drinking your weekends away, partying with girls. It's about a lot more than that. It's about finding yourself, finding your passions, and pursuing those with other people and building something really cool.
When you were like really busy in high school with like wrestling and your business and stuff, how
Mm-hmm.
did you maintain your emotional well-being?
Let me think about that. It was good that I was wrestling because I felt good after practices. Like when you exercise, um, you can keep your emotional stability a lot higher. I did guided meditations every night before because I just couldn't sleep. So I would listen to guided meditations and like I did a lot of soul searching as well. I was depressed in like high school. My first year of high school, I was like pretty depressed just because of like all of the things that was happening to me. But I realized you can't let your emotions dictate your life, right? If you feel sad, go out and do something. If you feel depressed, get your ass up, go for a run. Here was like a turning point of my life when I was in 8th grade. Like I was so sad. I couldn't talk to my parents about me feeling these things because I wasn't really close to them. My mom and my mom's boyfriend, they'd be working all the time, so I barely got to see them. I bad thoughts. It was super dramatic. One day I was like, screw it, I've had enough. Like I'm just gonna take control of my life. I'm not gonna let these kids who are bullying me like control how I feel. I'm the master of my fate and I will do what I want to do. And for me, like getting up at 6 a.m. that time, it was super hard because like, I was depressed. Like I didn't want to get out of bed, I didn't want to do anything. But that day I just felt like it's time to change. Like listen to like some motivational YouTube videos. Enough is enough. It's time to change. I got out of bed that day at like 5 a.m. or something, ran down 40 minutes down to the beach, and then I climbed up this big log. I had this moment. I'm like, I did that. Like I conquered myself. And when I conquered myself, that's when I became like unstoppable. I knew what my situation was. I didn't have friends, blah blah blah. And I knew, okay, you know what? Now it's time to conquer that situation and make it better. So I joined wrestling and I started like being more outgoing and like talking to people. And that got me out of my like state of like depression pretty much. For everybody, no matter what you do, like when you're growing up, a big part of growing up is like learning how to conquer yourself and like dealing with your own emotions instead of like avoiding them and like just getting pity from everyone. Learning how to tap into yourself and be like, you know what, I'm a savage. Whatever it is that I feel, whatever it is that's hitting me, people go through a lot of bad things, like people's parents die, like whatever it is, take that and take control of it. Don't let it like control you. And I think that's for everybody, like growing up, that's a huge thing. Like control your circumstances.
It must have been extreme, like coming from like me having going through depression. It must have been crazy hard to be able to like. It may seem such a small thing to do, like
Yeah,
just getting out
right.
of bed. But like when that voice keeps talking to you, like it can be so hard to like do simple things, and just the fact that you're able to like conquer that log, that's so crazy. So going on to the next question. So for people who may be afraid of failure, how do you recommend them or like give advice to them to change their minds?
Fail. Just go fail. Like it's funny. Like people who are afraid of failure are most likely people who haven't failed enough times. I was lucky because I started my life as a failure. Like in China, my first grade, like I failed miserably, right? So I was used to always being not the best, not being able to succeed the way that people want me to succeed or that I want to succeed. but then I just kept trying. The best combination that you could have as a successful individual is to be relentlessly good at failing and then also relentlessly good at persevering. If you have those two combinations together, there's just like nothing that can stop you. I forgot who it was, but there was this guy, I think it was Steve Harvey, or like he's a good combination of like what good perseverance is. Like when he was like failing in life, he was literally showering himself in a bathroom stall in a hotel, you know, and down to his last penny, like scrapping by. And look at where he is now. You know, if you have that combination, literally nothing will stop you. Even if you lose it all, you're still going to be able to make it back just because you persevere so much.
That's something that like a lot of Oxford students struggle with, because at Oxford, a lot of us, even I have got into this hole of wanting to be perfect, whether it's grades, whether it's really anything. And being in like hating failure, whether it's just like a bad grade or really anything, and you coming in like with a like entirely different perspective that maybe like probably some people have never heard of, that's gonna like, definitely inspire them.
You guys are definitely a tough spot because you guys have been groomed by like typical Asian parents, be this standout student, and like, you know, they want safety, they want comfort for you guys. As I'm getting older, I realize like that can be really good as well, but it takes away like your vitality, you know, like your drive to want to do things. What you guys can all do is just put more pressure on yourselves for other things. Like Justin, I like how you started this podcast, how you are interning for me, and how you're like doing all this stuff, because like this podcast, it might fail, you know, or whatever you do, it might fail, but it's good because you should try to fail. Like whatever you guys do, you do it accepting that you're going to fail, and you try your hardest, but you don't succeed. Me starting my businesses, whenever I start a business, I go in fully knowing, okay, I'm probably going to fail, but I'm going to try my best. You guys should try to do something like that. Take a risk, do a hobby, or like do something where pressure and you either succeed or fail. And if you don't succeed, like there might be consequences. Like now is the time. You guys are so young. Like what do you have to lose? Like what? Your savings of like $2,000. You know, you guys have literally nothing to lose. When you get older and you fail, those are big consequences. When you're young and you fail, like you're just back to where you were, you know. And you guys, like, because right now you guys are at the very starting point. Like there's only going up. Even if you fail, you're just back to the starting point and you can go up again. So I think it's a really good time for you guys to do something productive.
There's like a really big mindset where we're fueled to succeed because we're scared of failing. So we're basically trying not to fail instead of going into experiences to learn and grow from them, and not like knowing that failing is a possibility. So instead of fearing failure and using that as motivation, we're actually trying to draw it from these experiences and from
exactly. Every time I failed, it helped me learn, because failures hit you a lot harder than success. When you fail, you get hit, you're like, oh crap. Like you get depressed for a little bit and you're like, wow, okay, what did I do wrong? And you start thinking, okay, what can I improve on? Failure is just part of your process to succeeding.
Another thing that you said that I really liked was like to kind of put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Because I feel like humans naturally like to stick to what's familiar, you know, like what's comfortable. And what that does is that inhibits change, you know. And it inhibits growth. But change and growth is extremely vital when it comes to opportunity. It opens up a lot of opportunity. So how do you feel like down the line, or like were there any points in time where you felt like it was necessary for yourself to grow, for yourself to improve?
Exactly. You hit that like on the head. The thought process goes through when I have aspiration. When you want to be someone, you're crazy. So my third quarter, my first year of college, I was like, oh man, I don't want to be who I am. I want to be, because I see all these people who are successful, right? On Instagram, all this stuff. A lot of people say, oh, they're fake, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they are. A lot of them are fake. But then you see their wealth, you see their success, and you're like, I want to be like that. And a lot of people say that's bad, you know, that's bad for your mental health. I say no, it's not, because that's motivation. So there was this guy named his name was Jet Set Fly actually, and he had, you know, this GTR. He had all this like extravagance. He would go on trips with like 20 girls, you know, and like all models, and you're like, wow. I know it's a naive thing to want that kind of stuff, but now I realize that I don't really care about that kind of stuff that much. But he had all this stuff, and like, wow, he's successful. Like he doing well, and I want to be like that. So the first thing I did was I actually started working for him. You know, I became a videographer for him. So I didn't really know that much about videography, but I said, screw it. You know what? Worst thing I can do is just fail, and he hate me forever, but like whatever, you know? So I reached out to him like, hey, like you were interested in one of the videos I made, like, can I work for you, or like, can I do something for you? And that's one of the craziest things about being in California, is there's so much opportunity. I hope you guys realize there's success like and wealth just every corner. You can find someone that's successful. So I saw him, he was quote unquote successful. You know, it was motivation. So I got my foot in the door, surrounded myself with the people that I aspire to be. Surrounded myself with him, who franchises ATMs, and then they were around a bunch of successful people. A lot of them weren't scams, but just turns out like this ATM guy was a scam. So I got to surround myself with them because like I put my foot in the door. I'm like, hey, let me be your videographer. And then afterwards, I'm like, hey, let me manage your social media team, right? And then I'm like, hey, can I, like, you just keep asking for more and more responsibility and more opportunity, even though you might not be the best. Like, you have to have the balls to say, you know what, I'm good enough. I can help you do this. I can help you do that. And you learn from them. So I surrounded myself with them. And at the same time, it was like jet fuel, you know, like being around them, going to that mansion and like just visualizing, okay, you know what, like I'm here and I just have to work harder than them or just as hard as these people and take the risk that they take to get to this point. And so I did that, and that's when I started my business, and that's when it all came. Now looking back, I'm pretty much on the same level as all these people that I looked up to. So it's like, it's crazy what happens in a year.